It can be very challenging dealing with or being around a narcissistic person. They have characteristic traits such as a sense of entitlement, a lack of empathy, the arrogance that they are always in the right, and they sell people an illusion of who they could potentially be in order to exploit those around them. Narcissistic people are all about themselves. Therefore, they go all out to manipulate people to get their needs met, leaving people feeling manipulated, hurt, and confused around them. Narcissistic people can be some of the most secretive people you could ever deal with, partly because they enjoy knowing something that you don't know, and in another way, they also like to provoke that intrigue within you so that when you go looking for answers, they can accuse you of having the trust issues and blame your perfectly normal reactions to their actions as being the problem so that they don't have to take responsibility for their actions. Narcissists are all about the self-image that they're selling to those around them. They don't want to admit any flaws or wrongdoings. They thrive off power and being in control, so they're going to manipulate people so that they can remain in control, so that they can have the upper hand over people. They fear being vulnerable as they fear being open and honest, possibly due to the things that they've done. However, they fear that they might be rejected or abandoned, which is why they sell people an illusion of who that person would like them to be so that they can keep control of the situation. Therefore, they are some of the most secretive people you could ever meet, and they are going to cause that intrigue within you. When it comes to narcissistic people, there's several things that they do not want you to know, and one of the first of these is that they have a fragile self-esteem. They have a belief that they are better than others, and they also want you to believe that too. They come across with that charismatic charm, and they come across all self-assured and grandiose. And when it comes to a narcissist, this is their armor, this is their protection, as they heavily depend on the admiration and the validation from those around them. So they're going to come across with that charismatic charm in order to gain the attention that they require from those around them, to cover their fragile self-esteem. When they are, or when they feel criticised in some way, this triggers their defence mechanism, which is more often than not when they're going to start attacking you in some way. Narcissistic people will make their worst fears come true for you. We all know it's not nice to be criticised, and you usually tend to avoid criticising a loved one. You might try and offer them constructive feedback because you care about them and you want what's best for them. And sometimes we can take constructive feedback the wrong way. With a narcissist, you criticise them even with constructive feedback and helpful advice, there's going to be hell to pay. However, they're more than happy to criticise you and claim that they're just doing it for your own good. They don't want you to know that they lack empathy. They don't want you to recognise that their focus is purely on themselves and getting their own needs met and their own desires met at the cost of others. They want to be perceived as a genuine and kind and likeable person, which is often why, as their own family begin to see they lack empathy, they go all out to impress strangers, to get the validation from strangers, and to gain enablers and flying monkeys to back the narcissist up over their own family. They do not want you to recognise their manipulation tactics, because once you can recognise their games, such as gaslighting and projection and blame shifting and triangulation and silent treatments and the narcissist word salad, is game over for them, because they're no longer able to manipulate you. Once you can recognise the guilt tripping and no longer fall for it, they can no longer manipulate you and get their needs met by you. Narcissistic people have an armour of manipulation tactics to control and manipulate people's actions. And when you can recognise these, they can no longer manipulate and control you. They can no longer get their needs met by you, and their defence is down, and they are more open to their vulnerabilities and perceived attacks from you. They don't want you to know what they are capable of doing or what they have done to another person, because they want to sell themselves as perfect and flawless, and it was the other person's fault. They don't want to take any form of responsibility. However, with some narcissistic people, they like to see how you would potentially react. So they might tell you something they've done, but under the story of something a work colleague has done. So they boast about themselves under a third person, or they might tell you something in order to put fear into you to stop you from leaving them. They might have it so they don't want other people to know what they've done to you, because they don't want to be perceived in a bad light. They don't want people to recognise their exploitative nature. They need people to hang on to every word, to support them and to confide in them, so that the narcissist can use what people tell them in confidence against those people to attack and hurt those people and to control those people. They do not want you to know their fear of abandonment, contrary to their self-confidence, their image that they sell those around them. They actually fear abandonment, which is usually their driving force behind their manipulation and behind their control. They fear being vulnerable because they don't want to be rejected. Again, with a narcissist, their fears that everyday people can have, that genuine people can have. We can all have these fears. It's how we handle these fears. Those who fear rejection often don't go around rejecting other people because they feel bad rejecting another person, which is why a narcissist can guilt trip you easily. However, a narcissist will happily reject and abandon you to punish you, to hurt you, to control you, or they'll place that fear into you. Narcissistic people like to make their worst fears come true for you. They don't want you to know that they actually need that attention and that validation. They manipulate people to gain the recognition and the praise. However, they want to accuse you of the person who is doing this. They want to accuse you of the one who's making it all about yourself. Again, their projection. So when they're not getting the required attention they need from you, they'll go and impress strangers to get the attention. And then they'll come back to you and claim that, well, at least they appreciate me. At least they care about me. So again, they're making out that it's your behaviour, your actions, your reactions, your emotions that are the issue to their actions, because after all, they appreciate me, and that it's you that is the one who's causing all the issues. So a narcissist does not want you to know that they need that validation from you, because that's sort of opening up their vulnerability to you, and then they fear that you might reject them. So instead, they'll go and seek out a new source of supply to gain the validation that they believe they're entitled to, and to try and make you feel invalid and unimportant so that they feel better about themselves. When it comes to a narcissist and their secrets, you have to recognize that they do not want to be open, they do not want to be honest, and they do not want to be sincere with you. You cannot have sincere communication with insincere people. You have to learn to recognize their behavior, their patterns of behavior, recognize their games, recognize that going to them with some information, with facts and evidence, is going to offend them, and they're going to attack you. And that's all you need to know about that person. They're not the kind of person you can have a healthy discussion with. Therefore, they're the kind of person you need to safely walk away from, so that you can begin to rebuild your life and let them go and live theirs. The best boundary when it comes to dealing with narcissistic people is psychological, physical and emotional distance. Recognising their games and no longer letting their games have a negative impact on you. No longer taking their personal attacks personally. It's not easy. It's a big learning curve. However, it's worth it. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments for people reading through. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you and to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have 2 books out on Amazon, a Narcissists Handbook, which is the ultimate guide to understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, and 15 rules to deal with narcissistic people. If you cannot go no contact, I shall add the link to those in the description also. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.